Hey guys, back. We're gonna do so it's gonna be a two-parter. I know it's been a while, but I don't know. Hopefully, when the summer starts, have a little bit more time. But so this has actually worked out perfect because this is standing for the wall, and then standing, for like two legs on one, and then one's gonna be one leg. So basically, you have. Let me find it. You have like standing for the wall, which is going to be really a pretty common deal, but that's going to be hangs on the wall and it's able to stand, so you're able to get a standing bird without having the table space it takes up. So it's pretty common, but the thing is generally with these pieces of wood, or really anything in general, I guess, but you have branches that come out. The odds of getting a branch that's going to be off the wall long enough and straight enough to have them both legs down, it's super rare. And if it comes off enough, I'll do two legs, but 95% of the time one leg is the way to go, and then it gives them a little bit more of an action look. So I'm just gonna do for this one real quick. This is a nice Fulvous from last season, or this past season, and so basically it's like thick wire, 10 gauge, 16 gauge. The 10 gauge, so I use this for everything. I would say I use this for all the ducks except for I would use a 12 gauge for, say, the teal, bufflehead. This is smaller birds. I'll do 12, but otherwise I do a 10. So the main thing is, I just wanted to show kind of this process, and then I got a cinnamon teal that I'm actually going to show pinning the wings, doing all that good stuff. So anyway, so if he's standing this way, corn cob everywhere, support wire is going to go on this leg. So this one kind of has a little bit of a break, but I'll compare it to the other one. So I'll just do the 10, and we all done this before, but I just kind of wanted to kind of show the difference on what I do for a one leg as opposed to, so a two leg would be, so if this bird was going to be standing for the table for a two leg, I would have done 12 gauge for both legs, called it good, and then make sure the foot's flat so as the wire comes out, because if you have it straight and you run it, then when the wire's out and you go to flatten the foot, it rips the back. And then when you go to inject it, now you have a bunch leaking out, or more than needs to be. But if you already have the foot kind of how it's going to be, then when the wire goes out, it's kind of just that exit hole. So I'll do that, leave a little bit up here, and then I'll do a little bit of a bend just to kind of get it in shape. And then from here, then I just normally take the side, and I think I showed this on a flying video maybe. But you just take the side that's still the normal shape, line up the knuckles. I guess it's actually not broken that much. It just looks more broken. But anyway, tape this up. Little bit past, no big deal, and then that'll be the support, and then obviously the on the other bird we'll be doing the actual pinning. I know that's what people want to see, but at the same time, it's not a bad, it is a good way. This is how I would do it. I mean, I do stuff like in shadow boxes and dead straps, stuff like that, because it gives you you can really see the bird, but it gives you, it's so compact. But as far as for standing mounts, because you do it, I mean, if you have like a coffee table, or if you have a certain area, on top of a gun safe, on whatever you want a bird sitting there, it looks awesome, go for it. Otherwise, and you want to actually hang them up near some flying birds, this is the way to go. But same thing, I just do, this is actually going to have a black belly on it later on, and so it's going to be Fulvous, and then room for Mr. Black Belly Whistling Duck later on. So anyway, I'll just do this, and then and that's about it. So then obviously I was going to show this one, but the whistling duck's wings are kind of they're kind of funky on how you have to, they're almost like a goose, which is a little different. So I want to do a cinnamon that had, and plus he's got a shattered wing on one of them, and so I just wanted to kind of, the cinnamon has a nice bright wing where you'll be able to see everything. So anyway, I just wanted to show the one-legged concept, talk about the gauges real quick, and then that way if you want to do that, then you go right to it. So anyways, wire it up, then next I'll put the body in. We've already done all that, so, and I'll go over that a little bit more on the cinnamon till here in a minute. But anyway, so the part one, I'll mix it up with part two here in a minute, and then we'll go from there. Finally doing the standing / sitting mount. So yeah, so I'm trying to post more. I know it's been a little while. I've been trying to get it to line up just right, and honestly, before this you should be seeing a Fulvous, which I will put a picture over here of him, and that was kind of earlier when we were doing the what wires, how to do the one-legged, which is pretty common, honestly, even on a, say, standing for the table. It's good to do a one leg, especially if you're doing like a wing kicked or something like that, because you know it's very rarely they're gonna have their wing kicked with two legs on the dill. All right, so for this one we got a fairly nice cinnamon. It's gonna be a little bit long of a video, I kind of feel, but we'll just take it by. So this one's he's pretty freezer burnt, to be honest. So which is, I think, it's going to be fairly common. Plus this would be the same for a bird that is, say, the body is pretty big or the bird's small, where stuff is kind of tight. So you know, you got to work with problems. Obviously, if you can do this, then if you have one with plenty of loose, you know, maneuverability, then it's going to be that much easier. So all right, so no wires in this dog. Generally what I like to do is right here on the, I'm going to move the leg out here. So right here on this little fluffy part, I put a pin kind of into the skin against the body, and then I scoot it back and up. And what that does is that takes away the little pooch that a lot of ducks have if you don't do that. And so it just kind of gets it tight against the dill, because that's generally where most of your space is going to come from, because when you do the wings, you're pinning all this stuff in the mid body, upper body, and then you'll have a little poof down here that you need to pin. So I'll pin that, and like I said, this is the same for flying, standing, sitting, all that stuff. So just the same. See if I can get it. So it's just kind of get it where you get clipped in and then backing up. This one's already sitting, so it's kind of pinned a little bit anyway. But all right, so to get right into it, so normally I do a pin in the corner, so right where the primaries join up, do one there, kind of get the feathers from underneath each other. Okay, and then I'll do one so right at their little thumb group here, I'll kind of move that out of the way and put a pin right there. So it's kind of the last, it's in the last like meaty part of the wing before you can, because then you get out here and it's all quills. But all right, so and you know, sometimes on a standing bird it is a lot easier, just because oh yeah, I should have said, so to this point, this is, you know, head's been dried off and eyes finished, all that good stuff. The redhead, I think it's called putting together a redhead or something like that. That video will get you from the point when they're dry to this point, because I think in that video we just did wiring, sewing, and then a little bit of the head work, and then I cut it off for time. So this is to that point. Now you're here. So if you need to watch that one to get to this point. All right, so then, these are the scapulars. So then what I do is kind of get my thumb against the scapulars, against the wing. I kind of work it into the, so what, you still cut the body like normal, right? You still have the notch in here, all that good stuff. So I'll try to move the side pockets out of the way a little bit. I'll line that bone up with that, that groove that we cut like normal. I'm trying to do this on its side and it's really freaking difficult. There we go. Alright, so I kind of get it in there, and then what I want to do is I want to take the scaps and kind of pull them up a little bit so they're not jammed, because if you just tuck it in, the scaps will oftentimes be jammed, and you'll see here in a minute that alright, so then we have the main anchor point in there. You want to put that in the nice and snug, and then kind of set the wing primaries where they're going to kind of be, and then make sure, just kind of basically right on top of the edge of the side pockets. So then I'll put this pin in, leave a little bit of excess so I can kind of pop that out just a bit. And if you have a bird, especially with a broken wing, this one doesn't, that's why I'm doing it, but always do the one with the best, best condition wing, and then when you do the other side that's broken, then you can kind of compare where, because the end of the primary should be the same length, the tertials here should be the same length, and so on, so you kind of can have a little comparative. So always start with that side. So same thing, line the bone up, or the end of the bone, kind of get the feathers out of the way because you don't want anything bunched up in there. And same thing, I'll kind of get the pin in the foam just to kind of give it a little bit of a base. I'll pull it out just a little bit as I pull, like I said, pull up on the scaps to get them where they're not all bunched up. And then same deal here. So now we kind of move, hold the wing up, come in, get these side pocket feathers out of the way, and then we can pin the other. So sometimes you're going to have this kind of look where it's kind of, it's like anything else. It just takes a little bit of a little this, a little that, until it gets to, because it's kind of far, they're kind of spread out right now. So then what I'll do, if you're having that issue, you can kind of go in and twist it, because sometimes the bone in there will get underneath, so you kind of just, you're twisting it just to kind of unbunch that area that's up in here, because this is where the scaps are. So what I'll generally do with this is, and if you, I mean I do this on quite a bit. If you have looser skin, it's not as big of a problem, but what I do is pick the scaps up, and there's a little edge, a little kind of bare spot between the wing and the scaps, and I'll just cut a hole in that big enough to fit the X-Acto in, or the blade, and then you kind of go in there and pull up and around, and that kind of unbunches a lot of stuff, especially the skin where the head and neck junction are at. It'll kind of unbunch that area, lift it up a little bit. So then this is just starting to move the side pockets up the body, and I guess I'll cut the other side here too. So you don't need a big hole, you don't need to stuff it with anything or whatever, just enough to get your X-Acto in. And then I just kind of twist it around, make sure, try to get especially this back area, because when you put the head on, that skin's going to tend to want to like tuck down in there, and if you have the back, then there you go. Alright, so from here, so then what I'll do is get a little piece of cardboard to kind of keep the wings pressed in a little bit, because it's like, people that wire and stuff, which is fine, whatever. Like I said, I really don't, it doesn't matter what somebody else does, I just worry about myself. But you gotta have a wire with no memory, really thin. And I don't know. I don't see the. This will be the next thing. I don't see what purpose it serves, especially when you can get the wings tucked in there and you get a lot of mobility without a wire in there. And especially you're talking about it's going to dry hard, so it's not like a stability thing like the legs. You know, like I mean, like the legs here, you would think, oh, well, but you still need to kind of have, I guess, wires in that. I guess you could get away with not, but I don't know. It seemed that would be a little bit much. But so we'll get this dog here, and so I'm just doing that on each side. I'm just doing I'll do the same thing over here. Normally I'll do the show side primaries above the non-show side. Kind of work a little bit of these. So you'll want to get, once you get a lot of the unbound or unbunched or whatever, you want to get that V, because they have that V right here, feathers. You want to get that kind of, because that'll be most commonly tucked underneath the scaps. So then we'll get this. I'm gonna get this other. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is this. I'll just show. We've already done the feet. We've already done all this other stuff, right? So this is the main thing. I know a lot of people are always curious on how or especially when you're talking about not wiring the wings, which obviously I understand. Hold on. So what I'm gonna just do now, real quick, so the video's not too long. So this is just kind of keeping the shape, keeping it together, where it's kind of holding the wings in place. So, and then from here, like I said, then it's just a matter of kind of holding it at an angle. And you're gonna have some fall out here, because this is where the pin feathery kind of, you know, brown ones will be. And then from here, it's just make sure it's like, cool, nothing's bound up. So now you can go through. Definitely suggest getting some of these angle tweezers. I had to buy a new pair the other day, but that's definitely a good investment. I think it's like $7 maybe from McKinsey. I don't know if anybody else sells them. I'm sure they do. But so anyway, so after we kind of rub this just to get it flat, so we can kind of see what's going on. I'll keep kind of just doing this, just kind of grabbing a section, pulling it up so I could kind of get it obviously covering. This one I'm probably going to leave the side pockets down a little bit just to show the blue, since he's kind of got a few mottled feathers, show a little bit of blue. So I don't know if we showed it before. Last thing I want to show is so when I do the tape, I think I did on the Emperor kind of the tape format. So what I normally do with sitting, standing, all that good stuff is get a tape up this long, and I'll cut. I'm just putting it against my chair right here, laying it on it. So I cut that in half. So now I have half, and then I'll cut a little notch out so it kind of tapers. Then what I'll do is I'll lift this up. I'll lift up the V feathers, this grouping here, basically exposing the beginning of the scaps. And then I'll just kind of press that there so it sticks. And after I kind of get the feathers, you know, where I want them to be, here on the back, which there's nothing major here because I'm just trying to, I want to show some of the little stripes here, and I want to show the blue of the wings is the main features on that. So then what I want to do is, this is already kind of down, so I probably wouldn't normally do it, but obviously to demonstrate. If you get something like that, see this feather, it's kind of bothering me, so I'll just lift up the cardboard, move that down there, that way that's being nice and neat. We'll get the feathers. This one's kind of underneath this one. So most of it's just kind of getting the foundation and then going through and then just grooming feathers after that point, to be honest. So then when I get that, because a lot of times the scaps especially will kind of stick up, or they may even, they're not, you know, they're not coming over the side like they're supposed to be, and that's where the tape kind of comes in handy. So then I just kind of press it, make it, you know, a little snug, not too much like where it's super flat, but where it holds it down just like a real bird, which is the goal of all this. And then from here it's the fishing string for the legs, the, you know, tape of the tail feathers, which we've done, and shoot, I think that's about it. So just a quick recap: get the pins in the corner, and then right there where that little thumb feather comes, in the last little meaty part. Put the wing in first. Kind of, you know, move the feathers out of the way best you can. Lift up on the scaps, and then finish poking that in. And then kind of go to the next pin, move all the side pocket out of the way, pin it there. And then, like I said, if you have one wing that's broken, do the non-broken first, and then you can compare with the other one, you know, where to pin it so everything's even. And then do the little incision, kind of work it all out, and that's going to be it. And then you'll be good to go. And then once you get the wing in place and all the feathers, nothing's bound or tucked under another one, then it's just a matter of, like, now all I'm going to do is take this feather, move it here, take this one, make sure the V is nice, and, you know, make sure it looks like a nice V, and then I'll inject it, or I'll do the tail and I'll do the other side with the tape. You can see this is more of what I'm talking about, actually. See how it's like, see how it's kind of like lifted up a little bit? It's not like laying flat. And so what that does is the tape will come in, and then it'll press it down, and then it just gives it that nice contoured look. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that, like, while we're here, right? So I'll just do the same thing, cut a little notch. Where's it at? So you can hopefully see a little bit. And so this is a freezer burnt bird, so you're going to run into that with certain birds that maybe the body's too big. Like if you're ordering Farabee, for example, like bodies like I do, on wood ducks, always order the small, like the small wood duck, which is WFO3 instead of 4. 4 is almost always, but you can see here it presses down. Just kind of work it to the cardboard. I'll snip this little dog off, and then just kind of press that back down, and there you go, nice and snug. And same thing as a flying mount, you know, where we discussed carding the wings, taping it a certain way, make sure everything stays nice and flat. And because, you know, ducks, when they're fluffed up, yeah, okay, if they're fluffed, but on a normal bird, I mean, just look at a picture and you're gonna see where stuff is generally smooth. They're, you know, because they're facing into the wind, and so everything's pretty streamlined for the most part. You may have some extra fluff in the, say, like his bottom area or his head and neck, but those, generally speaking, the body is going to be pretty universal. So anyway, that's a standing bird, and I'll put a picture up of the Fulvous from earlier. I think it's about 6 minutes long, so if you're watching this again, if you're putting something together, fast forward to a 6-minute mark, and then and that's it. I'll come back soon with you know, whatever the next thing is, but I wanted to get this one, and like I said, any questions, let me know, and if there's anything I missed, then same thing, just let me know and I'll get to it. Alright, bye guys.